Okay, Shannon, you could put us on the record.
Already?
This is the matter of Baldwin versus Baldwin, continuation of trial. Mr. Lujuri, I think you were questioning Mr. Baldwin when we had to break.
That's correct, Your Honor.
You may continue. Mr. Baldwin, you understand that you're still under oath?
Yes.
Good afternoon, Mr. Baldwin. How are you?
I'm all right.
Where are you living right now?
Right now, we're currently staying on Knollwood.
And is that with your significant other's family?
Yes, with her mom and dad.
When do you plan to move to the South Street address?
We're hoping within the next couple weeks.
Does that home currently have electricity?
No, that's what we're working on.
How are you working on that? What are you doing?
We're working on the financial side of things for that because one of my military checks has not come in yet. So that's kind of stopped us from doing that. So I had to get back to work to come up with the money to get the deposit and everything paid on to consumers.
You saw those photographs I posted last time of the interior of the house?
Okay.
Were those an accurate depiction of what the house looked like last week?
Of what it looked like last week? Yes.
Are there dog feces in the house?
There was, yes.
How long were those dog feces there?
Like a couple weeks.
Were there dogs living in the house unattended?
No.
Were there dogs living in the house attended?
Yes.
How many dogs were living there?
We had one.
Then at some point in time, did you have two dogs?
At some point, yes, we did have two dogs.
Did a
Well,
dog?
we had to get rid of the dogs because we lost power, so we had to ship them off to a few friends.
Did one of the dogs die there?
Not that I know of.
Not that you know of?
No.
Were the dogs living there and you going back there and checking on them intermittently?
Yes.
How long was that going on for?
About 3 weeks. So we can find somebody to take the dogs.
And there's only one dog now.
There's no dogs now.
When there were dogs living there, how many dogs were living there most recently?
I guess I don't understand what this has to do with anything on the divorce.
Well, I want to know whether or not a dog died there because of neglect in the last 3 months.
I don't believe so, but I've been gone for a while, so I'm not sure of what's going on here. But like I said, I don't understand what this has to do with the divorce.
Are the dogs the
Well,
children?
Mr. Baldwin, I'm the one that makes decisions on relevancy. It relates to the condition of the house. So how much weight I might give something like that is up to me, but I think the condition of your home certainly bears on one of the issues I have to decide in this case. So you should answer the questions.
How many dogs live there?
There was 2 total.
What kind of dogs?
I couldn't tell you exactly what kind of dogs they were.
How big were they?
I know one was a shepherd mix. That's all I know.
And you indicated last time you testified that Miss Bancroft, your significant other, that she's a stay-at-home mom. Is that right?
Yes.
Does she receive child support? And how many? She has 4 children, you indicated, correct?
Yes.
And how many how many fathers of those children are there? At least two, right?
Yes, there's 3 total.
3 total fathers, correct?
Yes,
And does she receive child support from any of those fathers?
yes,
From how many of the fathers does she receive child support?
2.
How much does she receive?
I don't know.
Do you financially support Miss Bancroft?
Yes,
Is Miss Bancroft currently pregnant?
yes,
Do you believe it to be your child?
I do.
When is that child due?
August.
Do you have a date, a due date?
It's changed more than once, so I'm not exactly 100% sure on what day, because it changes.
So now this would be Miss Bancroft's 5th child
Yes,
with a 4th dad. You would be dad number 4, is that correct?
yes,
And you have 3 children with Miss Baldwin here, correct?
yes.
And you have children with yet another person, or a child with yet another person?
We're trying to figure out if that's actually true or not.
Okay. How are you trying to figure that out?
Well, I'm trying to do a DNA test.
How old is that child that you're trying to do a DNA test on?
I believe around 11. I'm not sure. I haven't seen that child in 8, 9 years.
Is that case out of Jackson County or another county?
Jackson.
Do you have a lawyer in that case?
No,
Do you know who an April Wilkes is?
yes.
Who is she?
My cousin.
Your cousin? Have you ever watched her children?
Have I? No.
Has Miss Bancroft ever watched your children?
Yes.
Has Miss Wilkes ever been at your home while you're caring for the 3 children in this case?
I'm sure at some point she's been at my house while they were there.
Does she have access to your home, the
No,
house on South Street?
no.
Would you socialize with her in the past?
I have in the past, yes.
How recently?
We stopped talking when I left beginning of May.
This May, just a month ago, within the last
Yes.
month?
Yes,
You stopped talking at that point in time?
yes.
Has she ever observed you parenting your children?
I'm sure at some point.
Your Honor, I have no further questions of Mr. Baldwin.
So, Mr. Baldwin, well, wait, let me ask you, Mr. Lugeri, do you have other witnesses after Mr. Baldwin?
Yes, Your Honor, I have one more witness, and her name's April Wilkes, and I just texted her to log in. She is working today.
She is in the waiting room right now. So, Mr. Baldwin, you have the right at this time to supplement whatever answers you provided to Mr. Lugeri with your own testimony. Normally at this point, your attorney would have a chance to question you. Since you don't have an attorney, we simply give you a chance. You don't have to say anything now. You can wait until it's your turn to present your case to say
Okay.
anything to me. once we're done with all of Mr. Liljurai's witnesses, then I will turn to you and you get to make your presentation at that time. So you could certainly elaborate on any of your answers to Mr. Liljurai's questions, or you can wait until it's your turn. The choice is up to you.
I really don't have anything to say other than I would like this to be done.
Okay. All right, well, let's let in the next witness then, Mr. Liljurai.
Thank you, Your Honor.
As soon as we have an audio connection, I'll put her under oath. Okay, let's see.
Wilkes, if you could connect to your audio, that would be helpful.
She's showing it's muted right now. Usually that means we've made an audio connection.
You have to unmute yourself, Miss Wilkes.
There we go.
Can you hear me?
Ma'am, can you? I can now. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I need to put you under oath. I'm willing to wait till you get to wherever you're going so that you can sit down and
Otherwise, I'm
settled.
gonna get motion sickness, Your Honor.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Would you raise your right hand, please? You do swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
You can put your hand down now. I'd like you to state your full name, spell your last name, please.
April Ann Wilkes, Wilkes.
Go ahead, Mr. Liljurai.
Miss Wilkes, it looks like you're taking a break from work. Where do you work, ma'am?
I work at HB Fuller.
What do you do there?
I load and unload semis.
How long have you worked there?
8 years.
Do you know Tomassa Baldwin and Wesley Baldwin?
Yes, I do.
How do you know them?
Wesley is married into my family. His family is my family kind of thing. We're like 8th cousins or something like that.
So when he described you as his cousin, is that fairly accurate?
Yes, we've always called each other family.
How long have you known Mr. Baldwin?
Since before he married Tomassa.
How many years is that?
10+ years.
Okay. And how long have you known Tomassa Baldwin?
Probably around shortly after I met Wesley and we found out that we were family, got talking about background and how we were kind of connected because we're both from the UP.
I'm going to ask you some general questions and some more specific questions. How would you describe Tomassa Baldwin as a parent, as a mother?
I think she's a very good mother. She teaches them right from wrong and she helps them out, shows them things. She's there for them and she cares for them very well.
One of the issues that has come up in Mr. Baldwin's testimony is that he's denied that he's ever used a paddle or anything other than his hands to discipline the children. Do you know whether or not that's true?
That is false. He has. I've seen it.
Tell the court what you've seen.
Either Bella or Harley will be misbehaving and not listening, and Ella will call their father, Wesley Baldwin, and tell them what they've done. Either they're back talking or not wanting to do their homework or not wanting to listen. And Wesley would either come home, or when he gets off of work, he would paddle them or discipline them when he got there.
One of the things that Mr. Baldwin testified is that he's never allowed your significant other, Ella Bancroft, to physically discipline the children. To your knowledge, is that true or false?
That is false. I've also seen her hit the kids as well with the paddle and a yardstick.
What do you mean a yardstick? Can you describe that?
It's a 3 foot, like a ruler, except for I call it a yardstick because it's long. It's got like the measurements on it.
And one of the issues that came up were photographs of Mr. Baldwin's home on South Street that I would describe it as a mess with animal feces on the floor. Are you aware of any of such a photograph?
Yes, I am.
How are you aware of it?
I'm sorry, you cut out.
How are you aware of that photograph?
My fiance had gone there to the residence, and I asked him to take pictures and photographs of the home. That's the way it normally looks. It's usually a mess, and usually me and my fiance usually help them clean up their home on any given week.
And was there a time that dogs were living there?
Yes, sir.
Tell me about that.
They did have 2. I do believe one was a pit bull mix along with a German Shepherd mix. They did have 2 animals. I was told by Ella Bancroft that one of them had gotten into the mop water and died inside the home while they were gone. And then the other one, I do believe, was taken from the home, but I don't know who by who.
And in terms of in the last year, let's go back a year to last June. How many times would you have been in that home? Once, twice, on a weekly basis, a monthly basis? Can you let the court know how often you would spend time over there?
On a weekly basis, even when I didn't have my children. I have joint custody of my kids, and Miss Ella Bancroft was watching my kids every other week.
Did that end at any time?
Yes, it did.
Why?
They had lost power in their home, and there was other reasons behind it. My kids were not being taken care of properly.
What do you mean your kids weren't being taken care of properly?
I had noticed, like, I always leave a diaper bag. My son was in diapers. He's only 2 at the time, and he wasn't potty trained yet. And I was marking the diapers, and he would still be in the same diaper that I dropped him off with at 6:30 in the morning. When I got out of work at 3:30, he would still be in the same diaper, and his pants would be soaked.
One of the things that Mr. Baldwin testified when I was asking him questions was that he started dating Ella Bancroft on June 10th, 2020, but she didn't move in until approximately October of 2020. Do you have any knowledge as to whether or not that's true?
That is also false. I have pictures along with when Ella started watching my kids in August of her already living at the residence, and when Mr. Baldwin and Ella had changed the locks on the home, and Wesley had kicked Tomassa out, Ella and Mr. Baldwin were the ones that changed the locks, and Ella moved in that same weekend.
Was that in August or July?
That was in July.
Were you there in July?
I was there frequently to visit and do bonfires, hang out, spend family time.
Do you have concerns about Ella Bancroft being around other people's children, like your children or Miss Baldwin's children?
Yes, I do.
What are your concerns?
She does not watch them properly. Usually she'll sit in the back room and smoke cigarettes and smoke her weed, along with spanking them. And she would put them on couches for days and make them sit there, or stand them up in the corner for days and make them sit there and not allow them to do anything other than use the bathroom and eat, along with using paddles.
Does she smoke cigarettes in the house?
Yes, sir.
Does she smoke marijuana in the house?
Yes, sir.
Does she smoke cigarettes in the house with children in the house?
Yes, sir.
Does she smoke marijuana in the house with children in the house?
Yes, sir.
Does Mr. Baldwin smoke cigarettes?
No, he chews tobacco, but I have seen him hit cigarettes here and there when he's out of his tobacco. Usually Ella Bancroft would give him cigarettes whenever he ran out of his chewing tobacco.
Do you have concerns about Mr. Baldwin's parenting of his children?
Yes, sir. He is a military man and he is very strict. It's the whole kids are to be seen and not heard. So he is very strict. So when they are out of line, he does discipline them a lot. A lot of mental abuse and yelling at them along with hitting them.
What do you mean yelling at them? Can you give me an example?
He would swear at them, use cuss words, and yell in their face. And hit them on the back of the head, be very strict.
I'm curious, were you ever interviewed by CPS regarding complaints of Mr. Baldwin and Miss Bancroft?
No, I was never interviewed. They never talked to me.
What else would you like the court to know, if anything, regarding your concerns about the children in this matter and the parenting that they have experienced that you've witnessed?
I think the children would be a lot safer with Tomassa Baldwin. And I don't think it's okay to refuse his rights completely. I mean, supervised visits, I think, would be fine for the children. I do know Wesley Baldwin is at Ella Bancroft's parents' house, and they are the same. One of the whips that Ella does have in her possession was from her childhood. Her parents believe in spanking and hitting children, that they should be taught to listen and mind their manners and not butt in. And they are very strict as well. So I think it would be in the best interest of the children for them to be in Tomassa's care 100%, and then Wesley have supervised visitation.
Hey, did there ever come a time, were you aware that Ms. Baldwin, Tomassa, had property still at the marital home? Are you aware of that?
Yes, sir, I am.
What are you aware of?
Tomassa had like words, if you will, from like science fairs, the freeholding sides that she had pictures of for their wedding, pictures of her page, and then pictures of each children, each all different. Miss Bancroft had put those on fire because Wesley told her he could. A lot of stuff that was left there that was Tomassa's, they did burn. There was property there of their children's ashes and I do believe their dog's ashes, Chubby, and along with Tomassa's cat. Those are still all in the home, along with clothes that Miss Bancroft wears that Tomassa left, that she helped herself to.
Did you see any of Ms. Baldwin's personal property actually get destroyed, or this was told to you by Mr. Baldwin or someone else?
It was told to me by Ella Bancroft, and then at bonfires, stuff was thrown into the fire.
Did you see it get thrown into the fire?
Yes, sir. Along with their couch, the furniture got burned. That was marital property.
Okay. Would you describe Mr. Baldwin as an honest person?
No. He is, I do believe, the definition of a narcissist. He'll tell you whatever you want to hear to get his way, so that way either he doesn't get in trouble or he gets what he wants.
Would you describe him as a reliable person?
No.
Is there anything else you'd like the court to know for the court to make its decision regarding this family?
I just worry about the best interests of the kids, and I do believe they'd be better off with their mother. I know she can take care of them, and she does really good at taking care of them, helping them with their schoolwork, teaching them right from wrong. She shows them a lot, and she's there for them.
Would you say that same thing about Dad?
No. He always chose work over his kids. And not only that, I understand he is military, and so he is gone a lot to provide. And I get that and understand that tremendously. But as far as spending time with them and doing stuff with them, anytime he tried to do that, Ella and Mr. Baldwin were at each other's throats and arguing in front of the children because he showed more attention to his kids than he did to her. So it was always a conflict of interest between the two of them, and along with parenting.
Hold on, Miss Wilkes. That's I want to ask you a little bit more about that. Are you testifying that you were there when Mr. Baldwin and Miss Bancroft would have arguments?
Yes, sir.
And is it your testimony that they would argue over how much attention he was paying towards Miss Bancroft versus how much attention he was paying towards his own kids?
Yes, sir.
Tell me about those arguments. Tell the court about those arguments.
One evening that I was there, and we were there visiting, and Wesley was helping both daughters, Harley and Bella, do their homework, stuff that Ella just didn't want to do. So he was helping them with that, and Ella had gotten to a heated argument, like, you haven't even given me a hug since you got home. I haven't received a kiss, nothing. You give your kids more attention to me. You need to choose between your kids or me. So it was always a heated argument.
You're telling me Miss Bancroft said you need to choose between your kids and me?
Yes, sir. More than one occasion, she has said that to him.
And what was
so he always chose her.
What was Mr. Baldwin's response?
He would choose her. He'd put the kids to bed and then spend time with her.
Huh. I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Mr. Baldwin, yeah, you may certainly ask her some questions now. Do you have questions for her?
No, I'm good, Your Honor.
So I do have a question for you. If Ella is such a bad person to have around children, and their home is, as you described it, often in a state of disarray, as indicated in the photographs, why in the world did you let her watch your kids?
I had nobody else to help me. I am currently going through a divorce, and I'm a single parent myself. And I would go there when I dropped the kids off every morning. I would pick up the animal feces, whether it be pee or poop, off the floor every morning. And I basically dealt with it. I would talk to Ella about it, told her that I'm not okay with the stuff that was going on. You know, she said she'd get better. It would never happen again. But they were trying to help me out as well because I had nobody else to watch my kids. But now I have them in a daycare.
So the dog feces that we could see in the photographs, I believe, were taken at a time when the dogs were the only people living in the wrong word. The dogs were the only living things in the house. Are you saying that even when Mr. Baldwin and Ella were living there with her children, that you would frequently see animal feces on the floor and would actually clean it up yourself before you left your children there?
Yes, Your Honor. And that was on a every morning basis, if not every day. On the weekends, I would come there before I got my children and would help them fill up 3-4 garbage bags worth of trash that was all over the house, along with animal feces, to help them keep the house clean.
The reason you were helping them clean the house is so that your children could be left in a house that's clean rather than one in disarray.
Correct, Your Honor.
Thank you. I have no other questions. Did you have any more, Mr. Luljurai?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Baldwin, I'm assuming you still have no questions for her?
I have none.
All right. Any reason that this witness can't be excused?
No, she may be excused as I'm fine with that. Thank you, Ms. Wilkes.
Thank you, Ms. Wilkes. You are free to leave.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Any further presentation, Mr. Liljuraj?
No, Your Honor. I think I had shared with you last time I had run the child support formula in the alimony calculator. I believe I did.
Well, let me look at my notes.
If
Yes,
not,
you
you're-
did.
Okay, yeah.
You indicated that the spousal support uh,
365.
calculation was 365 a month for 3.5 to 5 years.
Yes, Your Honor. That's all. I rest my case in chief, Your Honor.
Okay, so Mr. Baldwin, this is your chance to testify if you have more to tell the court, or to present any other witnesses who you would like to have testify on your behalf. Do you have some testimony for the court? Pardon?
I don't have anything. I don't have anything other than I can't afford to pay anything else. I'm already getting hit with $1,500 in child support on top of my rent, my insurance, and all that. I can't afford to pay anything else. I literally have maybe $50 a week in my name at the end of the week after paying everything. And that's all I have.
All right, I can accept that testimony. That's part of my consideration when I'm awarding spousal support is ability to pay. Mr. Liljuraj, do you want to question him on that issue?
Yes. What is your rent a month, sir? Currently
$890.
$890. And do you have a car payment?
Not anymore.
Do you have health insurance? I think you testified earlier you do not.
I don't, but I'm trying to, and that's going to cost me about $160 a month if I do go through TRICARE to get that.
I thought it was $600 to cover a family, or you're just trying to cover yourself.
I'm trying to cover myself.
But you're not,
because I can't afford to pay $600.
and how much do you spend a month on groceries?
Probably about $400 a week.
$400 a week?
Yeah, pretty close to that.
That's
give or take.
That's more than $1,600, $1,700 a month.
Well, meat's not cheap anymore.
$400 a week in groceries. What other monthly expenses do you have?
I got vehicle insurance. That's $125.
I'm sorry, I'm confused, sir. You indicated you don't have a car. But you do have a vehicle.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's car insurance is $125 a month. Are you paying that right now?
No, I have to get it on the other vehicle.
So currently you're not paying car insurance?
Not at this time right today, no.
I want to know
the next week I will be.
Okay, I want to know what you're paying now. What else are you paying now on a monthly basis?
Child support.
Okay. Are you paying it just in this case or in another case too?
I'm paying it to the other case too.
How much are you paying in the other case?
It depends on the paycheck on what they take out.
How much?
It's roughly about, I think the last time I seen it was roughly like $230 something, right around in there.
A month?
A week out of my check.
Do you know what your current child support order is in the other case?
I haven't looked at it in a while, no.
You don't know what it is?
Well, I haven't seen that child in 9-10 years because it was always an argument and a fight just to be able to see the child.
Yeah, I understand. That's not my question. Do you know what the current amount of the child support is ordered in the case not related to the matter that we're here for today?
I don't remember what it was, no.
What other monthly expenses do you have?
My phone bill,
How much is your phone bill?
$150.
Does that cover you and Miss Bancroft's phone?
Yes.
Okay. And that $890 rent, that covers you and Miss Bancroft. Does Miss Bancroft contribute to the food expense of $400 a week?
Yes, she does.
How much does she contribute?
She contributes at least half of it.
So she contributes half of food. Does she contribute to the rent?
No.
Does she contribute to the car insurance?
No.
Does she contribute to your child support?
No.
But she contributes, you said, to the phone bill, half of it?
Yes.
What other monthly expense do you have?
I think that's it. Oh no. Rent-A-Center takes money out because they're garnishing my wages for that.
How much do they take out?
They take out, it just depends on the week of what the check is. They only take out, I think it's like 5% of what the check is.
5% of check. Okay. But do you know that amount?
It's anywhere from $100 to $200.
A week or a month?
I'd have to look at my check because they haven't taken it from my Jimmy's checks. It was always from a military check so far. And we get paid monthly from the military, so I can't say whether they're taking it by week or by month. I don't know. I don't know that answer at this point.
Okay. What other monthly expenses do you have?
I think that's it.
And in terms of monthly expenses that benefit you, what does Ella cover? She covers half of the food, half of the phone. What else, if anything?
That's it so far.
Is there an intention for her to cover more in the future?
In the future, when she goes back to work, yes.
Where does she work?
Well, currently she don't work anywhere right now.
Where did she work before?
She worked at a gas station.
She's about to have a baby, right?
Yes.
You heard Miss Wilkes testify that items that belonged to Tomassa were burned in a bonfire. Did you or Ella Bancroft burn some of Tomassa's personal property in a fire?
No, nothing has been burnt. Everything that was in the house went to the back storage room. And a lot of the stuff she had already taken.
So either she took the items or those items on that list should still be there.
Yes.
So Miss Wilkes was wrong. It wasn't burned in a bonfire.
Correct.
And Miss Wilkes, you heard her testify that she's seen you use a paddle on the children. You heard her testimony.
Mm-hmm.
She's your cousin, right?
Yes.
Are you saying she's lying?
Yes. I've never used a paddle.
Are you saying she's lying about Miss Bancroft using physical discipline on the children?
Yes.
So she's lying about that too, correct?
Yes.
And you heard her testify that Miss Bancroft moved in much earlier than you indicated on your prior testimony. She's lying about that too?
Well, I never said that she moved in October to begin with.
Okay, when did you say she moved in then?
I said August.
In August she moved in.
And according to April, it was July, but I was on military orders in July.
Well, didn't you have parenting time with Leland, the youngest child, at the end of July?
At the end of July.
So you weren't on military orders the whole month of July, were you?
No. I came back the end of July. The weekend that I got him was the weekend that I came home.
Had Miss Bancroft moved in at that point?
No. She had stayed the weekend, yes, but she wasn't physically moved in.
So are you telling the court that everything that Miss Wilkes, your cousin, just testified to was a lie?
Yes.
And the things that Miss Baldwin testified to regarding the physical abuse, those were lies too.
Yes.
That you're the only one here that's telling the truth.
Yes.
I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Okay, anything further from you, Mr. Baldwin?
No.
All right, well, at this point, I'm ready to hear arguments. Mr. Lujuri will go first. Basically, an argument is telling me what you want me to order and why I should do that. So go ahead, Mr. Lujuri.
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, as it relates, I'm going to kind of pick the low-hanging fruit first. As it relates to child support, we have no objection to the amount that the friend of the court recommended in this case. When I run the calculation on the margin soft system, there's a $4 difference. So there's no point in arguing about that. So we're okay with that. And except for we filed an objection as to the onset date. I believe the onset date under the law should be November 13th, 2020, when the complaint for divorce was filed in this matter. It seemed for some reason the friend of the court, I don't know if they made a mistake or they just picked an arbitrary date, but as it relates to child support, that's what we would request, number one. Number two, Your Honor, there's no dispute here that Ms. Baldwin, because of her medical procedure, is confined to a wheelchair. The friend of the court did calculate that appropriately because she receives SSI and other means tested assistance. Her income gets set at 0 per the guidelines. I'm asking for an additional $365 a month and spousal support because we didn't negotiate that. There's no Staples bar on that, but that's where we're at with that. As it relates to the personal property, Your Honor, we've heard conflicting testimony. I'm going to take Mr. Baldwin. He says all the property is there or should be there. He is familiar with that list, so that list would be made a part of a judgment of divorce, and he would provide those items, return those items to Ms. Baldwin. If for some reason they are not returned, provide an explanation as to what happened to them. I believe we're in agreement as to their daughters. There's not a
Mr.
dog in my
Baldwin,
office.
I'm gonna mute the dog noise. Has a physical list been submitted? I don't remember seeing that.
No, Your Honor, I had submitted the list to Mr. Baldwin, but not to the court. I can provide the same list to the court, the exact same list I provided to Mr. Baldwin. We went through the testimony of all the items. One of the issues was the child that passed away, the infant that passed away, dividing the ashes, and
I definitely remember that. When you mentioned list, I was not remembering seeing a list. So I do remember hearing testimony. Yes.
Yeah, you would have only seen it on a shared screen, Your Honor. But that could be provided.
Okay, I do remember that now. I remember seeing the shared screen. If you could forward a copy of that list to my law clerk, John Fleming.
Yes, Your Honor. If I can do that right now, just so I don't forget.
It's jfleming@mijackson.org.
Okay.
Right.
What I'm going to do is I want to copy, make sure I copy Mr. Baldwin on that. J. Fleming
at mijackson.org.
Is it mi dot Jackson?
Nope.
Okay.
M.I. Jackson.
Okay. And I am just including Mr. Baldwin on it, and I'm just forwarding that thread just so everyone has it. So there's that issue, Your Honor. Then I think the important issue is we have, obviously this always comes down to credibility. And I like to ask people, well, are you saying someone's lying? And if you were to believe Mr. Baldwin, that Miss Baldwin is lying about the physical abuse, that his own cousin, who's been at the house, is lying about what she observed, I submit to the court that their testimony was more credible and believable, that there was domestic violence in this relationship. There was abuse. You had an opportunity to see the photographs of the condition of the house. When I asked Mr. Baldwin about the dogs, his answers were not the answers I would expect. I felt that they were evasive. I don't know. I don't know. I think we know what we do with our pets. At least I would hope so. You saw the condition of that house and you heard Miss Wilkes' testimony, although she didn't testify for a long time. I think she did testify compellingly. And one of the questions that you asked, Your Honor, was the same question that I had on my mind. Well, why have your kids there? I don't think they were there for a long time, but we do have concerns about how the children are treated there. They're consistent with our concerns, or the concerns Miss Baldwin has had from the beginning. We also have a situation where Mr. Baldwin is admitting that he had blocked her phone number, had blocked her from Facebook. And if you remember his testimony, because I watched it again before today from last week, he would say things that somewhat troubled me and may trouble the court. He kept on saying, she doesn't listen. She doesn't listen. And when I asked, did she make you mad? Yes, she makes me mad. And when I asked whether or not you've been disrespectful towards her, yes, but she was disrespectful to me. When I asked, did you call her names? Yes, but she made me mad. And I'm just wondering, quite frankly, about his maturity. I'm wondering whether or not it made sense for him, Your Honor, when you have someone out of the hospital in a wheelchair, and I get it. We do this for a living, Your Honor, these family law cases, but when we get married, it's better or for worse. And when she ends up in a wheelchair, he ends up with a girlfriend. He ends up locking his wife and the kids. I mean, because in essence, it's locking the kids out of the house, telling her not to come back. And now he's in another relationship with a woman who has children from 3 other relationships. He's about to have a child with her. So a 4th relationship calls into question. I didn't call her to testify, neither did he, but it calls into question her fitness to be around these children. When he goes 3 months, he says, well, I couldn't see the kids because of the current court order. Well, he's been in front of this court a number of times now. He could have filed a motion on his own. He could have reached out to Miss Baldwin. He could have reached out to me and requested an accommodation and parenting time. So what we're going to ask for, Your Honor, because what I've witnessed and what I know about the history of this file, I don't think sole legal custody makes sense in terms of decision making, especially when one party refuses to communicate, just refuses. How are you going to make joint decisions regarding that? Especially when one party has been physically, emotionally, and verbally abusive to another party and denies it ever happened. The way he responds to it is everybody's lying but him. So we're going to ask for sole legal custody. Now, Ms. Baldwin has concerns about safety, and she's willing to, she knows it's important for the children to have a relationship with their father, but I think it's also equally important, if not more so, that it be a safe and healthy relationship, both physically, mentally, and emotionally. When I mean physically, I'm talking about the house. So what she's suggesting is that he have, every other week parenting time on his days off, but that there be no physical discipline, that Miss Bancroft not be allowed to care for the children without Mr. Baldwin being present, because we are concerned about her care of the children, and we're concerned about the lack of what I consider honesty here as to what's happening over there. Your Honor, I went through the best interest factors. I'm not going to go through them again. I think my client is favored under those. I am concerned about the living situation. We have now a number of people. He's living with his significant other's parents right now. He doesn't know when he's going to get back into a house. But I would suggest that parenting time not begin until they're back in that house, demonstrate that that house has electricity, and demonstrate that that house has been cleaned of the fecal matter and all that's on the floor. I don't expect the house to be perfect, Your Honor. I know mine often isn't, but I do expect it to be free of urine and feces. Your Honor, do you have any questions for me?
I do not.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Mr. Baldwin, this is your opportunity then for argument. What would you like the court to do and why?
Well, like I said before, I get hit with anything more payment wise, I'm going to be broke. I'm going to be living on the streets because I can't make that payment. I can't get back into my house because I'm not going to be able to afford it. As far as medical concerns and stuff like that, when my daughter went to the hospital in Midland, I wasn't even notified about that when she still had my number. She didn't even tell me that my daughter was in the hospital. And that was a concern of what happened and why, because I had no clue of anything. But I'm at the liberty of the courts. You know, I'll abide by whatever decision is made.
All right. So unless I'm mistaken, I have not interviewed any child in this case. It would certainly appear that Isabel is old enough to express an opinion, a preference. Harley is probably borderline. He's 6 and he's going to be 7 in is it July?
Harley's a she. Harley's a she, Your Honor.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I do remember testimony about. So, I mean, let me ask: Is Harley? Do you believe old enough, able to express a reasonable preference as to where she would want to live? What do you think, Miss Baldwin?
You have to unmute yourself, Ms. Baldwin.
I don't think she is. Right now, both my girls are going through a lot. I have to even seek out counseling for my girls because they've woken up with night terrors. Like I said, it takes me a couple hours just to get them to go back to sleep. When they wake up,
Well, let me ask Mr. Baldwin. Mr. Baldwin, do you believe that Harley is old enough and able to express a reasonable preference to the court?
I believe that she might be able to, but the question is, would she? I don't know if she actually would speak up and, and talk. I don't know.
Mr. Loger, I think I'm certainly compelled to speak with Isabella. I can interview Harley as well. And if she's able to express a preference, I'll take it into account. We need to set up a time to do that. I can do that by Zoom. I'd like to get that done sooner rather than later. Are the girls in school today, Ms. Baldwin?
yes, both my girls physically go to school. Their last day is actually June 10th, and it is a half day.
What time do they get out of school?
Their release time is 11:30
In the morning?
Oh, so,
on the 10th. Yes, their actual release
no,
time
no,
is
no, no.
No.
What time do they get out today?
3.
3?
Yeah.
Is it possible for you to arrange for me to do a video conference with each of them? You would dial
Yes.
in the same way you dialed into the hearing today. I would want you to have each girl alone when I talk to her. Let's go with Isabella first. Let's plan that for. Will they be in? Will they be home safely by say 3:30?
I'd say 3:40. They do ride the
3:40?
bus.
Okay. All right, let's do that. Let's do 3:40. I'll talk to Isabella first. Just tell them the judge would like to talk to them privately. That's all I want you to tell them. And then make sure that they're in a place where nobody else can hear so that I can have a private conversation with them.
Do you understand?
Okay, I'll
Tomassa?
look,
Yeah, I do.
And then,
I'll look for you at 3:40, and then once I've had a chance to interview the girls, then I will issue my decision.
yes, and then, Your Honor, just so if I can just add these things. He has a TSP account that we would like divided. I know it's small, but it was accumulated during the marriage. And then as it relates to the $2,400 COVID check, I think that was $1,200 to each of them. I know Ms. Baldwin thinks it's for the kids, but I think the court's right. He owes her $1,200 of that back. As to the $5,600 check that's coming for the kids and her, that she would be allowed to retain that entire check if it in fact arrives to her.
All right, thank you very much. That concludes our hearing today. I'll look forward to talking to the girls at 3:40.
As always, Your Honor,
This-
thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.